Hey everyone, this is Louis7, and today I am back with another Legendary Items Guide in the Lord of the Rings Online with the new system. So today I am going to be building out a Legendary item as a sort of tutorial on how to use traceries, upgrade them, and just generally upgrading the LI to improve it. So I am on a level 130 character today, and I have actually already done his LIs, but they're for the fire spec on the Runekeeper. I am planning on building one out for the lightning spec over here. So this is just the example I will be using today, and I will point out that this character is not completely fresh with everything because I do have some clash traceries, and I will probably go ahead and use some of those just so I don't waste my resources, but this is how I will start out. I also will point out that I also have a lot of ancient scripts because I have done the appraisal process on a couple characters on this server, so that is how I have so many. But again, the focus today is just on upgrading the LI and doing a little bit of tutorial on that. So first of all, I do have to purchase 2 new legendary items, and I actually need to go to the first page here. I need to barter for some new items. So I am a Runekeeper. That will probably be page 4 if I had to guess. Yes, there's Runekeeper Stone of Legends. So I'll get one of those, and then I will get a rune satchel. These will both be for lightning. So when I go to reforge them here, I'm going to make sure I say that lightning stone. How about this one? There we go, got a name that worked, and now I will do the same for the rune satchel. Except you might notice that I don't have enough gold on this character apparently, so I will have to sell something and be right back. Alright, so I am back and with enough gold, so let's go ahead and reforge this. I will keep the same theme and do it electric bag there, and we'll go ahead and have that. So now I have my 2 lightning LIs, that is the quick process on getting them. And the main focus today will be on upgrading these and going on about traceries. So traceries are the items that you slot into the LIs. Alright, so got my UI cleaned up, and we will leave this up here for reference, but basically at level 130, you will have 2 Heraldric Traceries, 1 per LI. You will have, on your weapon, you will have 2 Word of Power traceries, which are also known as the roll traceries. That is what I will be referring to them from now on because they benefit your role of your character. Next up, we have Word of Mastery. You will get 12 of those total between the 2 LIs, 6 each. Those are Word of Mastery. Those will be your clash traceries, as I will refer to them. And finally, we have the stat traceries, which are more technically known as Word of Craft at the bottom here. 4 of those total at level 130. So that is what we will need to acquire. I did point out earlier that I already have some traceries, some clash traceries on this character that I will be using. So let's go ahead and actually cover those first because those will be some of the more interesting ones for you to get. So depending on your class, you will go to the bookshelf where you can barter for those. Now, traceries also do drop in instances. I will cover that probably towards the end of this video, how you can actually acquire this stuff out in the world if you don't have your ancient scripts already and that type of stuff. But for level 130 character, the current level cap before Gundabad, I will just go to the Runekeeper traceries and look at all these incomparable ones. And basically my strategy for every single class is to look at all of the traceries and try to find 12. So if I like a tracery, I will go ahead and anchor it. You can press H when you're hovering over something with a tooltip and that will anchor it. And that's basically an easy way to list out the type of things you would want. So I need to find 12 clash traceries I want. Again, Do Not Fall This Day is quite nice, even if it doesn't go for Lightning Runekeeper. I do epic conclusion damage, and I just go down the same strategy with every single class, every single spec, whatever LI I'm building, whichever LI set I'm building for that matter, and use this strategy. So I will go ahead and plan out this character and get 12 of his traceries, and we will meet back. A quick note on clash traceries is they are unique use, so you cannot duplicate any single clash tracery between the 2 legendary items that you have equipped. Just to point that out moving forward. So while you are building out your character with your first set of LIs, do not duplicate any clash traceries, and this also applies to roll traceries. But Heraldric Traceries and Word of Craft or stat traceries, those you can have multiples of, and they are not unique use. Alright, so at this point I have picked out this character's traceries that I'm going to be using for these 2 LIs, the clash traceries, and this is the list that I decided for the L-Line Runekeeper that would be good for this particular character and what I plan on doing with him. Now, just to point out the organization of this, I decided to go ahead and put the main ones that I know I really want up here at the top and the middle, and then these 4 ones on the bottom are ones I'm kind of want, but it's not too big deal if I find something better, and they're also more utility based ones. Now, Do Not Fall This Day cooldown is of course really good, and these other ones were basically because there is nothing else good that I could actually get that I thought would benefit this character, especially considering I don't really plan to use fire abilities, and I actually already have a fire set of LIs, so we're sticking mainly to lightning benefiting things. That is how I came up with this list. Again, apply the same method to all classes. One of the most important things I think to look at is the primary affix, especially for the class legacies and the role legacies when we get to those. Things like epic conclusion damage, I care about that a lot more than the tactical mastery, but that is not to say it's not good to pay attention to the secondary stats, like the actual stats that you get, because those can have an impact, especially if you have no tracer you want. You might just end up picking class tracery just for the stat boost that it gives you, such as vitality here, which can be quite useful, or if you need finesse, critical rating, tactical mastery, outgoing healing, all those sort of things can be useful. So it is something that you can pay attention to, but again, the primary reason for me to choose these is the primary affix. So now that we have the class traceries picked out, first of all, I should go ahead and equip the 2 new LIs I have, so I am working on the correct set here. So I'm going to drag that to the essence slot, and now we can start working on this. I will go ahead and clear out the screen and come back. All right, now that we have closed everything, I did just press escape to do that if anybody is wondering how you can quickly do that. And going on the lightning stone, I'm going to go ahead and just put my first 6 traceries in that I had, and it's basically like this, just dragging them from my inventory into the Word of Mastery slots, moving the UI as I have to, and going about that. Alright, so these are the first 6 that went in the runestone, and next I will go ahead and do the bag. Alright, so between the 2 legendary items, if we look at their tooltip now, they each have their 6 class traceries, so this is filled out quite a bit more, and again using H to anchor these, and we can look at what they have. But moving on, the next thing I would want to fill out is probably the role traceries for this character. So those are going to be the word of power up here. I can get 5 total of those between these 2 LIs. These are things I do not already have, so I'll clean up my inventory there, get rid of the blank spaces, and in this room, this was the big room we were in, so the back room here on the left is the word of power traceries. Now again, these are going to be the role traceries and things that will boost the role of this character. So with these, it really depends on what you want to do for your character. If you're doing solo or group content, you might actually have to end up building different LIs for that if you want to go through that effort. For example, actually on my warden, on the second page here, there is one called Ranged Attack Extension. I probably would not pick this for group content because it just boosts my range. It does give mastery, but honestly don't care about that too much for my wardens. And I'm mainly interested in the range attack extension to fight things from farther away, and particularly while I am solo. It also could be useful in PvMP, for example. But in group content where I'm just looking to boost my damage, the DPS I do as much as possible, that's probably not going to be too helpful. So this is really where you have a chance to customize your character for your liking and for what you do in the game. So for my Lightning Runekeeper, just like I did with my class traceries, I will have to pick 5 of these that have the best use. And again, just like the class traceries, these are also going to be unique, and between the 2 LIs you can only have 1, as in you cannot repeat the same tracery multiple times between 2 equipped LIs, just like with the class traceries. So yeah, I will go ahead and try to find 5 useful ones for this character. Alright, so for this character I ended up with these 5 because I want to boost my single target damage, so got 2 of those. Also AoEs, I don't do too much of that as lightning, but boosting those is better than other options I saw in here. And similarly, range attack extension, especially with lightning abilities, they only have 20 meter range, so getting a 50% boost on that is actually kind of significant. And after thinking about that, I'm actually really looking forward to it. So now that I have picked those 5, I will go ahead and barter for them. We have the 2 AoE damage ones, don't do any damage over time, so don't have to worry about that on Lightning Runekeeper, range attack extension, then the 2 single target ones here. So now that we have that, I will go ahead and start with the runestone. First, we can clear out the UI. Now we can start with the runestone that is clear, and I will just put the first 2, I believe these will be the 2 AoE ones actually, going on the runestone, and then for the rune bag, the satchel here, I will go ahead and put the other 3. Again, the class item gets 1 more word of power eventually, at least at level 130, 1 more word of power than the primary weapon. So moving on, we have 2 more tracery types to fill out, and I will need 2 Heraldric Traceries in total. Those are not going to be unique, and same with the Word of Craft, those are not going to be unique. So first, I think it'll be good to go ahead and look at Heraldric, because you get one of these per LI, and they are pretty simple. We already covered the most complex traceries. I will say the Word of Craft have some complexities in what they can do, especially with set bonuses, but a lot of that is not quite implemented in the game yet. That will be more future and probably with Gundabad. So it looks like as far as my barter currency goes, I have 5 fragmented Morgul traceries left, so I can get 5 more teal traceries, and I have plenty of the ancient scripts to do that. This is something you might run into. You might run out of ancient scripts if you try to barter for all teal things, or you might run out of these shattered traceries, whichever level your character is, you might run out of those, so just do keep in mind what resources you have. Now for a tactical offensive class, so it says Heraldry Offensive Will, this is all I have. So I'd actually just end up getting 2 of these, for one for my runestone and one for my bag. But you might want to look at the full list, because agility and might, I believe, both have defensive options, as they're called. Yeah, there's defensive might, defensive agility here, and there's also a healing might and a healing will, no defensive will. So if I were a healer, say if I were a might healer, like an actual bear healer as that is, or a captain healer, might want the outgoing healing one, or if I'm healing as a runekeeper, I might want that outgoing healing one. But for this character, I'm focused on DPS and leveling, solo type stuff especially. So I am going to go with just the plain old offensive will one, so I will need 2 of those. Go ahead and barter for 2, and we can start slotting them. First we have, the runestone. Go ahead and put that Heraldric Tracery there. And then for this other one, I will go ahead and show the other method. Actually, right-clicking the tracery, you can go ahead and open that panel and select the LI you want, and it brought up my electric bag, so I can just put the tracery there as a little bit of a shortcut. Now, when we get to enhancement runes, you will have to actually drag the LI here to open this panel without having a tracery in your inventory that you can actually use that. So next up, we do have 4 Word of Craft traceries in total. If I bring these 2 LIs back up and move them back to the right corner so we can see how they're going, they're really getting filled out now. Have the heraldries, have the role traceries, and the clash traceries. So all we have left are the stat traceries, also Word of Craft here. So Word of Craft will go to level 121 and probably not incomparable. I'll save those teal things for now and just go ahead and go with 4 rare ones. Now, one thing you might notice is a lot of these have the same name, like Empowered, Exemplary, Grand, Perfect, that type of naming scheme. There is currently no difference really between the different naming schemes except for the Ascendant ones down here. These give you an elemental damage boost, so for one of the tactical damage types, you can get a damage boost with these. So for now, as it is implemented in update 30.3 before we're in Gundabad, and any big changes to the other stat traceries here, these are the only ones with set bonuses. Now, it does sound like in the future either some of these ones that we already have over here might be expanded to include set bonuses, but for now, again, only the Ascendant ones. So if I am playing a Lightning Runekeeper, it seems likely that I will go ahead and just want plain old lightning type damage. That is actually going to be very valuable for a Lightning Runekeeper. So I need 2 of these. Again, these are not unique, so you can get the same one multiple times. I could even get this 4 times. I get the 4p set bonus of even more critical rating. So I think I will go ahead and do that, because not only can I get the lightning type damage, that'll also give me a little bit more critical rating. So that is what I will do for this character. But if you are not a tactical class or don't have any tactical damage at all, like for example the Warden actually has light type damage, but if you don't have any tactical damage at all, as like a guardian, maybe a champion, even a hunter, they actually cannot benefit from the light or fire type damage from their oils. That was patched out on the beta. There are other traceries available to you, they just don't have the set bonuses. So you have things like physical mastery, you have block rating, you have a generic critical rating one, which there's not much benefit in getting that over this one, because with 4 of these you can just get a set bonus even if you don't need the lightning type damage. So yeah, there are all these other options though if you do want them and they're not covered by the traceries that have the set bonuses. Alright, so moving on, we need to actually equip these. So once you finally pick your 4 out, you can equip them and drag the LI over there again. I'll equip 2 on the runestone. We have to actually scroll down, get to it, do that, and then moving on, I will do the rune bag. Alright, so now I have my 2 legendary items completely set with their traceries. I have all traceries equipped that I can for both the runestone and the rune bag, but I am actually not quite finished kitting out these two items. I now do have some leftover resources from appraisal and the such, these enhancement runes to upgrade the traceries. So upgrading the traceries will increase their item level. So if I drag this into the UI again, you can see at the L-400 out of 499, that means the level cap for that tracery slot is 499, but the tracery itself is only level 400. And these enhancement runes, they're what can upgrade the item level on that. You see, this has an enhancement limit of 410, and the purple one I have here has an enhancement limit of 430. So an important strategy is to use the lower quality enhancement runes first, because that will get me to 410, and that way I'm not wasting the purple one on the lower levels, where I can just go ahead and use the lower quality yellow enhancement rune. So my strategy for upgrading these, I have 62 yellow enhancement runes and 576 purple enhancement runes, is I want to upgrade the highest priority stat traceries first. So for class traceries and role traceries, upgrading the item level will not change the stats on them. How you change these stats on these will be with rarity. That's why it's important, as the very first step with traceries is to get the highest rarity, highest quality ones you can first. Of course, gold being the highest quality, then teal, then purple, and finally yellow being the lowest quality. So in general with traceries, the most important part is their quality and rarity, and not the item level that they are upgraded to via enhancement runes. So now that we have that down with the enhancement runes that I have, if I wanted to go ahead and upgrade these instead of saving these for when I got potentially better traceries, then I would start with the lowest quality one first. Again, I want to look for the highest priority tracery. So to actually cover what those are, first you want to look at the stats you actually want on your character. For example, if I want more critical rating, if I want more mastery, if I want more outgoing healing. So there's that method just to see what you might want, but I should point out that often upgrading the heraldry one will be the most beneficial as far as stats go. So I will go ahead and upgrade this, and you see it already has a lot of stats, but when I apply teal, 10 of these yellow enhancement runes, again we just dragged it over the tracery, and then you can select how many you want to use. It will boost these stats quite a bit, or at least it's a small amount to actually start. But now we'll do the purple one. Again, be most efficient, use the lower quality ones first, and now the stats are boosted quite a bit compared to where they used to be. To actually see where they used to be, we can look at the rune bag, and it's only 30,000 tactical mastery and so much will and vitality. And then it's actually significantly more on this one now that I upgrade the item level. So I believe the heraldry is going to be the most important to upgrade first. If you are wondering if you're like limited on resources, that is what I would recommend first. So that is what I'm going to do on this character. Alright, so I will do the same with this heraldry on the rune bag with the enhancement runes that I have available, and just so things are maybe a little bit more clear and separate, I will drag these in my inventory. These are the enhancement runes I'm using. They are also up here just to show their enhancement limit and the minimum level they are. Now, one thing I am curious on, and you all might notice, is the role and class tracers. Their critical rating is actually the same as the one that the Word of Craft or stat traceries give. So what I'm going to do is apply 10 of these to the Ascendant Lightning. Critical rating is good for this character, and that got up to 14,950. What I'm curious on is if it has the same curve. So this one has critical rating as well. Go ahead and apply 10. And it also gives me 14,950. So what this tells me is that it does not actually matter if you upgrade the Word of Craft, the Word of Power, or Word of Mastery traceries first. We can actually confirm the Word of Mastery real quick. Yes, just to confirm, all of these enhancing the item level of these gave the exact same results no matter if it was Word of Craft, Word of Mastery, or Word of Power. So after doing the heraldries, which seem to be kind of by far the most important to go enhance them and increase their item level, you basically want to prioritize towards all the other traceries, no matter which tracery type it is, whichever gives you the most beneficial stats for your character. So one thing I really like is vitality. So I see 2 vitality ones here, and I'm going to go ahead and boost that. Now I'm about to run out of the yellow enhancement runes, so I can only apply 2 here, but I have plenty of purple ones, so I don't mind going ahead and just spending the extra purple to unlock the first few item levels. I was just using the resources I had in the most efficient way possible. So we got quite a bit of vitality on those. And the next thing for this character, I'd have to actually look at his stats. I see he needs more crit rating. I see he needs more finesse, and he can always use more tactical mastery, it looks like. If anyone is curious how this character is geared, if you are level 130 and interested in that, this is actually the Valor armor. It gives you a bunch of item level 430 stuff, but it's not really too optimized, and the stats on it are a little bit iffy. So even if my Warden on Arkenstone is actually similarly geared, probably overall a little bit better geared, the itemization on my Warden's gear is significantly better than this, so his stats are like also significantly better. But it basically means this character can use anything. And one thing that I covered in my stat guide a long time ago is that point per point, usually mastery is going to be more efficient than something like critical rating or finesse. However, it's always important to look at the percent change. So if I go, just to compare these, if I go ahead and use these on all these, since I have so many enhancement runes, I actually have enough resources, I believe, to boost just about everything. So we can go ahead and do everything here just so we can look at what they are boosted to 430. And I think the hope of this is that it will help give you all a better understanding of how to maybe prioritize your enhancement runes if you have limited resources on those. So it looks like you get a similar amount of mastery, a similar amount of critical rating, and maybe a little bit more finesse than both of those. But essentially what this tells me is if you are not capped on any of your stats and quite a bit behind on them as far as getting to the cap on them goes, perhaps doing the mastery ones would be most beneficial, and after that maybe the finesse and then critical rating. However, for people that are near the cap or kind of at the cap with stats, often critical rating and vitality will be the best to prioritize, or other stats if you're not in the DPS role. So that's just something to generally keep in mind. I will go ahead again for this character. I have a couple critical rating ones here that I might as well do again. I have the resources, so I will do that. And while I don't really care about outgoing healing too much, as a DPS, my self-healing, that might help a little bit with it. So I'll go ahead and enhance that and got quite a big upgrade on outgoing healing, about a 50% upgrade with that. So that was pretty efficient actually, use of this. So I'm on my rune bag here. Next thing I would want to look at is my runestone. We already did the heraldry because that was the highest priority one. And basically just like the rune bag, I will go down, I'll look at these, I don't see any that are vitality, so I will go ahead and just start with the mastery ones as the next priority for me. Alright, now that I'm out of mastery ones, I will go ahead and just do critical rating traceries. And this is basically the process. It's the same thing over and over for each tracery. You just drag the enhancement rune and slide how many of them you want to use, and it actually looks like I might be running out of the purple ones for this character, and that's all right. It means I am utilizing my resources as much as I can here and actually making use of things. So it looks like I have one more critical rating one. This will take 30, and now I'm left with 8 of these purple enhancements, and I'll go ahead and just do an outgoing healing since that is all I have left. But there we go, I finally finished. I think it's been about 30 minutes and I finally finished building out my legendary items. I hope this tutorial and going through that all in detail has been helpful for y'all and seeing how I think about upgrading the traceries, and hopefully y'all can see this being applied to different classes, even different roles that aren't just DPS and leveling. But this is ultimately what the legendary items look like for this character after using the resources I got from the appraisal. The appraisal of my old legendary items, that is, in this panel, and using some of the resources ancient scripts I had on alts. Now, I did promise that I would show you all how to get some of this stuff in the game, so as the last part of this tutorial, we will go ahead and do that. And it seems like one of the better solo ways is actually to run a 3-man instance. I know this could be scary for some people, especially if you're leveling, but this instance is unlocked starting at level 50, so you'll have it after you get your legendary items at some point, and we'll be able to run that. I am running on the Lightning Runekeeper, which I'm not entirely sure about his build because it's been a long time since I did that. And I also have not played this in a while, but basically we need to go to the bosses here. And this can be applied to any instance. It's not just Gullet the Mirdain, but this is a good one to go ahead and get a quick look at maybe what you can get in just one method. If you can get a group, this does seem to be one of the better methods to get the traceries, is running group content in general. Hopefully, one of my hopes at least with the implementation of the system and as they update it, is you'll get a lot of the stuff from questing and leveling. So just to point out, there's still a bug with the Runekeepers where they're not actually getting their traceries to drop in a chest like this, so I will have to switch to a different character. Alright, so at this point I have switched characters to my warden. Hopefully it's not too jarring, but I can still show the same thing as we run through this. Essentially, in group content, this is where traceries will drop. It seems like they're playing in Gundabad especially, and to retroactively apply this to lower levels before like level 131 and Gundabad content, is that you just run the content of the game and that will be your primary source of traceries. Bartering does not appear to be, at least as far as their goals of the update and revamp, bartering does not seem to be the primary method they want, so you probably won't have to run to the archive of traceries all that much, at least hopefully not. And more so it'll be about traceries actually dropping. Now for traceries that do drop, you can disenchant them to get some ancient scripts. That's how you get the ancient scripts currency. So for example, on my warden here, if I right click the Flame of Ancalamir, that is something every character gets by default now when they log into the game. You can disenchant your old traceries. So we already covered this in the basic guide, the beginner's guide earlier, but yes, basically you can disenchant these and they show what they disenchant to, like 60 ancient scripts for this one, 40 ancient scripts for the purple one. But as I mentioned, running group content in general, it seems to be the way to get traceries. Now, School at the Myrdain, why I picked this one is it's somewhat easy to solo. I totally understand that it might not be possible for everybody or every class or every situation, especially for leveling characters potentially. So what I am really hoping is that quests and things like that for solo players can and will give some traceries for you to also be able to outfit your character like this. But for now, this does seem to be one of the better methods. So I got through the first boss, we did skip the mini boss, and looting the chest, that should give me, yes, it gave me actually a purple tracery here, and I do not need that. So this is how I could actually get the ancient script currency. I could find the Flame of Ancalamir, here it is, and I could disenchant it. Now you might notice for me it says you do not have enough room to do that. The reason is I am already at the ancient scripts cap, so it doesn't want me to basically waste that tracery. I have to spend some ancient scripts before I can actually acquire any more. But it's basically the same method. But as far as early testing in the legendary item system, this does seem to be just generally the method to acquire traceries. One last thing I just thought of is what happens when you get a new tracery and you want to replace an old one? Well, one, you could actually use a tracery reclamation scroll, which will take out all of your old traceries in the legendary item, so it would take all of these out. But there's overall not too much point in doing that unless you want to save a specific tracery, perhaps for a different set of LIs for your character or for an alt. I will point out also traceries are bound to character, but they're going to be fixing that. They have been supposed to be bound to account, and that fix will be coming at a later time. So if you loot a tracery on one character like my Runekeeper here, if I happen to get one, say for example I want it on my Warden like a role tracery, I would be able to send it over in the next patch, which I believe is coming about half a week or so from this video. But anyway, the point is to replace an old tracery, and say for example I got this teal runestone healing and damage, but I know I have a purple one slotted on one of my LIs, and apparently it is the other LI. That is the runestone I believe we were looking at, and I believe it happens to be on my rune bag. So yeah, here it is, runestone healing and damage. You can see what I have here is upgraded to item level 430 out of 499, and then I want to replace this low item level 400 but teal one to get the higher runestone healing and damage. Personally, I wouldn't recommend this too much on the Runekeeper to actually buy this like I just did, because the purple one is plenty fine and that's not even the most useful tracery because of how weak runestones are. But setting that little note aside, let's see what happens when I replace it. So to replace it, you just drag it over the old tracery. This will be the same if you get like a higher level one. For example, at level 131, maybe I'll get this exact same thing and just want to write over it. So as it says, the existing essence, what it really means is tracery, will be destroyed. So I will go ahead and do that. But one thing you might notice is it kept the item level of that slot because I already upgraded that slot actually with the enhancement rune. So the new tracery keeps that item level boost. So now it's an item level 430 teal tracery to match the item level of this, but it gets the whole teal effect with the increased runestone healing and damage for this particular tracery. So as far as this video goes, that is really all I have on it. It was meant to be a tutorial on how to build out a character with the traceries and the different types of traceries we have with the Heraldric Traceries, which are the big stat stick traceries. And then we have the role traceries or word of power traceries, then the word of mastery traceries or the clash traceries as I call them, and finally the word of craft traceries, which have set bonuses but they just give plain stats is what they do. So with these two guides, I hope I have covered everything with acquiring, getting, upgrading, and all that sort of stuff with the legendary items and their traceries, the items that go in them. If there are any things that you are unsure on or have any questions on, please do comment, perhaps request of videos or something I can do about just a little discussion for things people are wondering. So please comment any of that below. Also, if you have any feedback on this guide, please do let me know for future content that I do. But anyway, that is all I have, and as far as this video goes, I hope you all enjoyed it and learned something useful with legendary items, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing for more, or becoming a channel member to support the content, and thanks for watching, everyone.